everyone! For today's lesson, we will be learning about the 3 rhetorical appeals. Now, first things first, what is a rhetorical appeal? Well, to start, rhetoric is the art or the study of persuasion. And when you're thinking about rhetorical appeals, you have to think of the rhetor, which is the person who is trying to persuade the audience, the target of the persuasion, and finally the observer, the one watching the persuasion take place. Now, when it comes to rhetorical appeal, the focus is mainly on the rhetor and the audience. And basically, rhetorical appeals are modes of persuasion that are used, to try to persuade someone of something. And of course, whenever you're trying to persuade someone of something, you don't just tell them, hey, you should let me do the thing. You have to convince them. And so there are 3 different approaches to rhetorical when it comes to persuading people, which are the rhetorical appeals. And maybe you've used them before in your everyday conversations. The first is logos. Logos relies on logic or reason. It uses facts, deductive reasoning, and inductive reasoning. If you remember, deductive reasoning is where you start with a general idea and then you narrow it down to a very specific concept. And inductive reasoning is the exact opposite of that. And a way to remember logos is log, log, is found in logic. And here we have an ad that is an example of logos. Because you can see they're trying to use facts to convince us to buy their insurance. They're trying to show that, hey, we have the lowest rates compared to State Farm, Nationwide, and American Family. So you should totally get our product because we're using facts. Now, ethos relies on character, the credibility or reliability of the rhetor, and it uses morals, testimonials, frequently uses celebrity endorsements or political endorsements, stuff like that. It comes from the idea that if you want to persuade someone, you should show them that someone of high status or authority supports what you're trying to persuade. And the way to remember ethos is ethics, because they mean the same thing, pretty much. And an example of ethos in another ad is this ad for Lumosity. You have LeBron James and a quote by him saying that you should use this product because he apparently uses Lumosity to improve his selective vision when shooting free throws. And hey, he's a very good basketball player, so why shouldn't we believe that this product works as good as he says it is? See, so that's the idea of ethos. And finally we have pathos, which relies on appealing to people's wants, emotions, or values. And the way to remember that, this one is a bit trickier than the other 2. Pathos is sympathy, the path and PATH in sympathy. And so you want to think, like, they should always try to appeal to, like, someone's emotions, like, or wants. So, like, you see a commercial for some restaurant and they show all these shots of food. That's appealing to your hunger and your desire to have delicious food. And so that's pathos, because it's appealing to a want or desire. And another example of pathos right here is this ad where it shows a dog, a cute little pug, giving his owner a tissue. And she's sad, and you can see the little tag right here that says there's no better friend, adopt a dog. They're trying to convince that you should get a dog because, well, the saying goes, man's best friend, and you can see this young woman here crying, upset. Maybe she had a rough day at work, maybe she had a rough breakup, she's brought out the ice cream, and it's supposed to make you feel like sympathy, like if you've ever experienced that and you wanted someone to be there for you during that rough time, or if you've had a pet, you know how they can really help you out whenever you're feeling sad or just going through a rough time. So they're appealing to the emotions of feeling sad and having a pet and how much they've helped you, like in the past, if you've had a pet. Now, why is it important to know the rhetorical appeals? Well, they're methods of persuasion, and they're frequently used and persuasive in argumentative writing. And since we are currently working on a unit in persuasive writing, this is pretty important for y'all to know. But not only that, rhetorical appeals are implemented quite frequently in pretty much anything in your everyday lives, especially things like the media, any advertisements, even things like trailers for movies or catalogs for like toys or food, groceries, stuff like that. They use it. You can pretty much find it anywhere. And in order to be an aware consumer, you need to know the rhetorical appeals, which we will get more into that later in tomorrow's lesson. So that brings me to practice. Now, I'm going to put a link to a playlist in this video description, and I want you all to find commercials that use the rhetorical appeals. You have to find 3 commercials total, but if you want to do more, that's perfectly okay. But you have to find 3 commercials and 1 for each of the rhetorical appeals. So you want 1 commercial that shows the use of the ethos, rhetorical appeal, 1 for logos, and 1 for pathos. And then I want you to write down which of the 3 commercials focused on which of the 3 appeals. Just like give a brief description of the commercial, or just even the title of the commercial for the video. And write just a short little explanation on what makes you think that they used that particular appeal. And please bring this in for class tomorrow, as we will be going over it. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or If you need to, you can ask me in class tomorrow, because we will be doing much more focusing on the rhetorical appeals. So, see you then.